Good morning, children. This is Kirivat here. Today I'm going to discuss with you Chapter 3, The Little Girl. Dear students, this chapter is really wonderful and interesting because it is purely based upon children and parent relationship. Before commencing the text, may I have you some questions, please? How many of you feel that you know your parents very well? How many of you feel that your parents love you, they care you, they're kind towards you? How many of you feel that no, our parents are more disciplined, they reprimand us, comparisons are being done? I think so. These are some questions which definitely would be raised in every household in the young days. We as children normally do comparisons in the same way. In this chapter also, you will find certain comparisons. And to help the children, the innocent children, from the atrocities of the household, atrocity may be a very strong word as far as parents are concerned, but we can say that the liberty is being taken away from them up to a larger extent. So, because of that only, the parents are sometimes held responsible. They are being criticized, that they are quite harsh on the children. But at the same time, we do understand, or we must understand, that why the parents are doing so. What is the logic behind that? Why they are reprimanding us? I normally tell people a story, dear children. You might be knowing a potter. So whenever he has to make an earthen pot, you know what is an earthen pot? Earthen pot, I'm talking about. So whenever he has to make an earthen pot on his wheel, he has to support that new structure with his own hands. Sometimes what he has to do to give a proper shape to that utensil, that earthen pot, he used to just give small taps, small hits. Those hits are not such that they can break the back, because if he'll do so, then that entire pot would be destroyed. These pats are simply a kind of reminder to that pot that he has to shape himself. So I just compare a child with that pot because he is innocent, he is young, he needs care, he needs attention, he needs love, sympathy, empathy, everything is required. And here becomes an important thing, that how the parents handle the issues, how they have to care their children. Because the way the situation have taken place in the story, I hope the parents would not do that. Let me commence with this text, dear children. What the story says. Do you feel you know your parents better now than when you were much younger? Perhaps you now understand the reasons for some of the actions that used to upset them earlier. Perhaps, dear children, when you become quite older, you come to know about your parents. You start knowing them, what they are, the importance of their actions, their responsibilities. The story about a little girl whose feelings for her father changed from fear to understanding will probably find an echo in every home. And you will find the same thing here. The story of this little girl feeling for her father changed from fear to understanding. And that feeling of fear in the mind of a child, the feeling of apprehension. Can you imagine a household where children might be apprehensive over their parents? It normally occurs in those homes only where the parents are not able to behave properly with the children. Either the father is a drunkard, he beats his wife, he beats the children. In such situations, that parenthood becomes a burden. Children have to face a lot of torture, they have to face a lot of beatings. But in this entire story, you will not find such issues. He is not a drunkard at all. But still, he is a man of discipline. He is strict. He wants her daughter to be good, to be disciplined. But what the daughter is doing? She wants more love. She is comparing her father with the rest of the parents, rest of the fathers. And then she reaches the conclusion that yes, I'm getting some less love from my father, which I should get. So, dear children, to the very to the little girl, he was a figure to be feared and avoided. Underline this line. That's very important. To this little girl, he was a figure to be feared and avoided. Can you imagine a household situation where a child is running away from father? He is seeing him as an image of terror, as an image of fear. How the development would be, how that situation would improve. And in such circumstances, I don't think so that there would be an all round development of a child. In some developed countries, there are some numbers, some phone numbers, some protection cells which help the children. And when the authorities find it capable that the parents are not able to rear their children in a much better way, then they are being sent to foster homes. But even I do not support that, because parents are the best guide, they are the best teachers, they are the most affectionate individuals who better understand the children. So, we as children should understand that what might have been the problem of our parents, why they are doing so. We should sort them out. So, here the child is feeling apprehensive. He is afraid of the situation. Every morning before going to work, he came into a room and gave her a casual kiss. And see the routine. Every morning, the father was coming to the room of her daughter, giving her a casual kiss, to which she responded with goodbye, father. And she used to respond, goodbye, father. And oh, there was a glad sense of relief when she heard the noise of the carriage going fainter and fainter down the long road. And dear children, underline this line, this statement. When the goodbye was being there, father was going for his office. There was a glad sense of relief, a sense of relief, a sense of relief on the face of the child when she heard the noise of the carriage growing fainter and fainter. She was very happy when she heard the carriage, the vehicle going fainter and fainter down the long road. Why it was happening? Why it was happening, dear children? Because she was apprehensive. She was having a sigh of relief. She was feeling very happy that I have got rid of the tyranny. I got rid of my strict father. That's what she was believing. That was the belief of a small child. In the evening, when he came home, she stood near the staircase. And in the evening, dear children, when he came home, it was his time to come back from the office. She stood near the stairs, and heard his loud voice in the hall. And she used to hear his loud voice in the hall. That might be the issue of every household. Bring my tea into the drawing room. Hasn't the paper come yet? Mother, go and see if my paper's out there, and bring me my slippers. These were the instructions which were passed as he came back home. He was asking for his tea in the drawing room. He was asking for the newspaper. He was instructing the mother even to go and see if my paper's out there and to bring his slippers. So that was the daily routine I'm talking about. Kezia, the name of the child. Mother would call to her, if you are a good girl, you can come down and take off your father's boots. And it happens in every household. The mothers can seek assistance from the kids. And definitely the kids should help their parents, especially the mother, the father, in their household chores. So Kezia, mother, would call to her, If you're a good girl, you can come down and take her father's boots. So here the mother is again calling Kezia. Kezia, can you please come down? Can you take your father's boots? Slowly the girl would slip down. Slowly. See her reaction. She was not happy. She was not excited on the coming of her father. She was coming very slowly, slipping down the stairs, more slowly still across the whole hall, and push open the drawing room door. And she was coming down the stairs very slowly and pushed open the drawing room door. By the time he had his spectacles on and looked at her over them in a way that was terrifying to the little girl. And see how the father was looking at the girl. He was having his spectacles, looking at the girl in a way that was terrifying to the little girl. It was very terrifying. It was a horrible look, the way he was looking at the little girl. Well, Kezia, hurry up and pull off these boots and take them outside. And what he said? Well, Kezia, hurry up. Please be fast. Pull off these boots and take them outside. Have you been a good girl today? Sorry. And these were the instructions he was passing. He was talking to his daughter. Kezia, please hurry up. Pull off these boots and take them outside. And dear children, have you been a good girl today? And how she replied? How she replied? I don't know, father. What she was doing? She was stuttering. Stuttering, you know? Stuttering. Stutter, stutter. Stutter means when you have difficulty in speaking. When you speak the first word with a great difficulty. That's what she is doing. Don't know, father. So why she was stuttering? Was she a stuttering child? Or this was the only occasion when she used to stutter? Or was this the fear, the nervousness in front of her father? You don't know. Again, the same stuttering. You don't know. If you stutter like that, what the father is doing? He is mimicking. You don't know? If you stutter like that, mother will have to take you to the doctor. And what the father is saying. Stop it. If you stutter like that, mother will have to take you to the doctor. And she never stuttered with the other people. This is very important. This is very important to notice here. She never stuttered with other people. She only stuttered with her father. Had quite given it up, but only with father. Because then she was trying so hard to say the words properly. Because with her father, she was trying so hard. She was trying a lot to say the words properly. What was this thing? Fear in her mind. Fear of her father. She was not feeling comfortable with him. What was the reason? What may be the reason? Was he so strict? Was he very disciplined? Was the girl beaten? What was the issue? What's the matter? What are you looking so rest about? Mother, I wish you taught this child not to appear on the brink of a suicide. And father said, what's the matter? What are you looking so rest about? Why are you looking so sad and nervous? And now father said to his mother, and he said, I wish you taught this child not to appear on the brink of a suicide. And he instructed, you should talk to this child. You should teach her that she should not appear on the brink of a suicide. She is very sad. She is not able to live happily. She is on the brink, on the edge of suicide. Here, Kezia, carry my teacup back to the table carefully. And he again instructed, take this cup back. This paragraph consists of the description of father. He was so big, his hands and his neck, especially his mouth when he yawned. Do you know what is yawning? When you open your mouth, your jaws, when you feel sleepy, yawning. So he was too big. His hands, his neck, his mouth. Thinking about him alone was like thinking about a giant. Just imagine, the father is being compared to a giant. How many of you compare your father to a giant? Just answer yourself. So he was being compared to a giant. He was so big. On Sunday afternoons, grandmother sent her down to the drawing room. On Sunday afternoons. Now, grandmother wanted that the girl should talk to her father a lot so that they can be comfortable with each other. So, on Sundays afternoons, grandmother used to send her down to the drawing room to have a nice talk with father and mother. So, she was sent to the drawing room to her father and mother to have a nice talk with father and mother. But the little girl always found mother reading and father stretched out on the sofa. But this has been a usual description which has been given here, that when she went to the drawing room, she normally found mother reading, father stretching himself on the sofa because it was Sunday. His handkerchief on his face, his feet on one of the best cushions, sleeping soundly and snoring. And she found her father sleeping soundly, and at the same time he was snoring. Do you know what is snoring? When you sleep somehow after a hard work of the week, you are sleeping soundly at the same time snoring. Means you're making some noises in sleep, not able to breathe properly. She sat on a stool, gravely watched him until he woke and stressed. She sat on a stool. She occupied a seat over there. Gravely watched him until he woke and stressed. And gravely means seriously she was watching his father. Until he woke and stressed and asked the time, then looked at her. And he would ask the time, then he would look at her. Don't stare so, Kezia, you look like a little brown owl. And see the father's reaction. Instead of showing some signs of love, instead of showing some kind of affection, because it was Sunday, he should have talked with the girl more politely, more kindly, with great love and affection. But here, what he is saying? Don't stare so, Kezia. You look like a little brown owl. How many of us as parents call our children owls? I don't think so. One day, when she was kept indoors with a cold, her grandmother told her that father's birthday was next week. And one day, when she was kept indoors with a cold, she was suffering from cold, so she was kept indoors. Okay? So, grandmother told her that father's birthday was next week. It was informed to her and suggested she should make him a pincushion for a gift. And the grandmother suggested that, dear child, you should do something for your father. You should make a pincushion for a gift out of a beautiful piece of yellow silk. That was the message passed on to her. In the next paragraph, what has happened? Laboriously. Laboriously means with great hard work. With the double cotton, the little girl stitched 3 sides. She was able to stitch 3 sides of the cushion, but what to fill it with? But next, the problem was how to fill that cushion with. What should be the object? What should be the material? That was the question. The grandmother was out in the garden and she wandered into mother's bedroom to look for scraps. The grandmother was somewhere outside the garden. So what she did? She was looking for some pieces, some scraps in mother's room. Luckily, on the bed table, she discovered a great many sheets of fine paper. On the bed table, she found many sheets of paper were lying over there. She gathered them, tore them into tiny pieces, and stuffed her case, then showed up the fourth side. Then she tore those pieces, those pages, stuffed her case, her cushion, and showed the fourth side. And the present was ready. The gift was ready. Gift was for her father, for his birthday. That night there was a hue and cry in the house. Underline this word, hue and cry. Hue and cry means some kind of angry protest was there in the house. A lot of noise was there. Father's great speech for the Port Authority had been lost. And what was the reason of this hue and cry? Father's great speech for the Port Authority had been lost. The papers of the speech which he was supposed to deliver at Port Authority was lost, dear children. It was lost. Rooms were searched. Rooms were searched. Servants questioned. Finally, mother came into Kezia's room. So it was turn for Kezia to be inquired about. Kezia, I suppose you did see some papers on the table in your room, in our room? And what she said, oh yes, she said, I tore them up for my surprise. And she said, oh mom, I tore them up. I tore them up for my surprise. And what was the surprise? The pin cushion which she was making for her father. What? Screamed mother. See the sign of exclamation. What? Screamed mother. Come straight down to the dining room this instant. Come down. Even mother was not having any mercy in her words. She was not coming to the rescue of the child, and she instructed her to come down all of a sudden to the drawing room. And she was dragged down. See the word dragged. Not she was not called, but she was dragged down. To where father was pacing to and fro, where the father was pacing to and fro, from one place to other, pacing to and fro. You might have seen a pendulum moving to and fro. In the same way, the father was moving, pacing to and fro, hands behind his back. Very tense. His mood was not good at all. Well, he said sharply. Mother explained. And mother explained the entire situation. He stopped and stared at the child. And he stopped and stared at the child. He was staring at the already apprehensive child. Can you imagine the state of mind of that young girl, of that small child? What she might be thinking? How much she would be scared? He asked. Did you do that? No, she whispered. Again, she was stuttering because she was in front of the giant, of her father. Mother, go up to the room and fetch down the damn thing. The damn thing was the pincushion, the gift which she had made for her father. See that the child put to bed this instant, and just send this child to the bed instantly. Crying too much to explain, she lay in the shadowed room watching the evening light make a sad little pattern on the floor. And crying too much to explain. She was crying a lot. She was crying bitterly. She was trying to explain why she did that. She was lying in the shadowed room watching the evening light make a sad little pattern on the floor. When she was lying, father came into the room with a ruler in his hands. And he was carrying a ruler in his hands. That big man was carrying a ruler for this tiny girl. I'm going to beat you for this, he said. And he said, I'm going to beat you for this. How dare you do that? Again, father was in a cruel mood. He was an image, he was an emblem of tyranny here. And he said, I'm going to beat you for this. And beating is not allowed. But still they are parents. They can reprimand you. Okay, to teach you. They can have slight beatings. Slight beatings I'm talking about. Okay? Maybe that beating can be a kind of instruction, you can call that. Kind of advice, you can call that. Okay? But severe beatings are not allowed. They should not be there because they can harm the child. The child can get demoralized. He will not able to face himself again. He can be psychologically weak. So beating should not be there. Oh no, no, she screamed, hiding under the bedclothes, and the little girl was hiding herself under the clothes. He pulled them aside because he was strong. He pulled them aside. Sit up, he ordered. And hold out your hands. And the little girl, the little chit of the girl, she held her hands out. You must be taught once and for all not to touch what does not belong to you. And you must be taught once and for all. Bata raha hu, he said. I'm just telling you not to touch anything which does not belong to you. But it was for your birthday. She wanted to explain. She wanted to tell. But dear father, it was for a birthday. But the gentleman did not listen. Down came the ruler on little pink palms. Pink palms, an example of alliteration. Hours later, when grandmother had wrapped her in a shawl and dropped her in the rocking chair, the child clung to her soft body. The child clung to her grandmother. Father hit rulers on her hands. Mother did not come to the rescue. Only grandmother was there. She was an only face of love and kindness. So it was not so that mother was not loving her, but she did not like to come in the way of a father, because she might be helping her husband to teach the child in a much better way. And when she was clinging to her soft body of her grandmother, she was thinking, she was sobbing, she was crying bitterly, she was sobbing, and she was saying, "What did God make fathers for?" And like that, she was challenging that. Why fathers have been made? Why they're so strict? Why they can't be soft? Why can we cannot be comfortable with them? Dear children, there has been a lot of difference the way the fathers have been described here and the fathers you might be having at your homes. Okay? There has been a lot of difference. But still, I believe that such kind of fathers would be there who might be quite strict. Strictness is good, but such kind of fear, putting apprehension in the mind of a child, is, I think, so it's a kind of slow poison. It can kill the child internally. He will feel weak, he or she will feel weak, psychologically broken. Here's a clean hanky. And she was thinking, why God make fathers for? Here's a clean hanky, darling. Blow your nose. Go to sleep, pet. You'll forget all about it in the morning. The grandmother said, "My dear pet, my dear child, my dear love, take this hanky, clean your nose, and now go to bed. Hopefully by the morning you will forget everything." I tried to explain to father, but he was too upset to listen tonight. And she said, "Grandma, I tried my level best to explain my father that why I did that. But he didn't listen. He was so upset tonight." But the child never forget. But the child never forgot. Dear children, it happens. It is very difficult to forget such incidents in life. And she was not able to forget that. Next time she saw him, she quickly put both hands behind her back. See the result, the circumstance of that fear, of that beating. As she saw her father, she quickly put both hands behind her back, and a red color flew into her cheeks. What was this? Absolute terror, fear of a father. And this is not good for the development of a child. It is going to break down the child. So the parents should not do that. They have to handle the children very carefully because they are the assets of future. They must be handled with great care and caution. Because such kind of incidents are always having a very deep impact on the young minds. On the young minds, on the innocent minds. Now, in this paragraph, you'll find that there has been a comparative study. The child is watching everything. On one hand, she has seen her father since her childhood. On the other hand, she is seeing her neighbors, the McDonalds, living next door. They had 5 children. Looking through a gap in the fence, the little girl saw them playing tag in the evening. And she used to watch the neighboring family, the father and 5 children, they used to play. The father, the baby, Mao on his shoulders. 2 little girls hanging on to his coat pockets ran round and round the flower beds, shaking with laughter. And this paragraph is an absolute opposite of what you have read till here. Because in this paragraph, a different father has been shown. A caring father, a loving father, a playing father. He's enjoying with his kids. But Kezia might be thinking that this is not in my life. My father is quite strict. I cannot hang on his shoulder. I cannot play with him. Once she saw the boys turn the horse on him and he tried to catch them laughing all the time. And she was seeing a different father. Always laughing, enjoying, making merry with the children. Then it was she decided there were different sorts of fathers, and she reached a conclusion that fathers are of different types. Okay, the fathers are of different types. God has made different kinds of fathers. They have many kinds of varieties. Suddenly, one day, mother became ill, and she and grandmother went to hospital. And one day, mother fell ill. Both grandmother and mother they went to the hospital. The little girl was left alone in the house with Alice the cook. Underline this character, Alice the cook. That was all right in the daytime. It was good in the daytime because there was no apprehension. She was not scared at all. But while Alice was putting her to bed, she grew suddenly afraid. But when Alice was putting her to bed, she grew suddenly afraid because it was night time. She may not have taken any kind of sleep alone in night because she used to sleep with her grandmother, hopefully. What will I do if I have a nightmare? She asked. And she asked Alice, Alice, can you tell me? What I will do if I have a nightmare? What is nightmare, dear children? A bad dream. She asked. I often have nightmares and then Granny takes me into her bed. And she tells that I do have nightmares and then Granny takes me into her bed. I can't stay in the dark. It all gets whispery. And she shares her apprehension that I cannot stay in the dark and it all gets whispery. Alice wanted to make her understand. Dear child, you just go to sleep, child, said Alice, pulling off her socks. And don't you scream and wake your poor pa. And I request you, because your father would be completely tired, exhausted from the day's work. Please don't scream your nightmare. Don't wake up your poor father. This was the instruction passed by Alice the cook. But the same old nightmare came. Again, the same old nightmare came. The butcher with a knife and a rope. The butcher came in a dream with a knife and a rope, who came nearer and nearer, smiling the dreadful smile while she could not move, could only stand still, crying out, Grandma, Grandma. She was just shouting in the night. And she woke shivering to see father beside her bed. Oh my goodness. On one side there was the butcher, on the other there was father. Now where she has to go? She was absolutely afraid. She thought, today is my last day. Even the butcher, neither the butcher nor my father, they would not leave me. Today I will be mercilessly beaten, she was thinking that. But did it occur? That we have to see. She was shivering to see father beside her bed, a candle in his hand. What's the matter? He said. Oh, butcher, a knife. I want Granny. I want Granny. And she started shouting, I want Granny. He blew out the candle, bent down and caught up the child in his arms. Now, the further paragraphs you will find a different kind of father. A kind father, a loving father. He blew out the candle, bent down and caught up the child in his arms, carrying her along the passage to the big bedroom. A newspaper was on the bed. He put away the paper, then carefully tucked up the child. And he made the child lay down on the bed. Half asleep still with a butcher's smile all about her, it seemed, she crept close to him. She was so frightened that she crept close to her father. Went close to her father. Snuggled. Okay? Snuggle means moved towards her father to be more warmer. Her head under his arm, held tightly to his shirt. And she held her father's shirt tightly, out of fear. Then dark did not matter, she lay still. Then dark did not matter. This is her father. A kind of shield he was from the butcher, from the night, from the nightmare. That's what she wanted. This is the protection she was thinking about. For the very first time in her life, Kezia might have realized that yes, my father is there to shield me. Then the dark did not matter, she lay still. Here, rub your feet against my legs and get them warm, said father. And this is the most humane face of father which she has been able to see. And what he said, Kezia, just rub your feet against my legs and get them warm, said father. Tired out, he slept before the little girl and the poor father. exhausted, completely tired out. He slept before the little girl. A funny feeling came over her. Then a funny feeling came over her poor father, not so big after all. And for the very first time, she realized that he was not so big after all. And with no one to look after him, and she was thinking, she has a feeling in her mind that there is no one to look after this poor fellow. The whole day he works, he earns for us, he earns bread for us, and there's no one to look after him. He was harder than grandmother. For the very first time, she was able to realize because he was a father, he was strong, he was hard than grandmother, but it was a nice hardness. But Kezia says that I loved that hardness because I was with my father. That fear had completely wiped after some time. And every day he had to work and was too tired to be a Mr. McDonald. And she thought to herself, how my father can be Mr. McDonald? Because she's on work every day. Definitely he would be tired, he would be exhausted. She had torn up all his beautiful writing. She again had some thoughts that I torn up all his beautiful writing. She stood suddenly inside. What's the matter? Asked her father. Another dream? And she stood suddenly. She moved and sighed. It was a sigh of relief. For the very first time, she was able to understand the love of father. Father asked, yes, what is the matter, Kezia? Have you seen another dream? Oh, said the little girl, my head's on your heart. I can hear it going. And said the little girl, oh, my head's on your heart. Oh, father, my head is on your heart. I can hear it going. I can hear your heart pumping. What a big heart you have got, father dear. And Kezia, for the very first time, appreciated her father, and she said, what a big heart you have. What a wonderful human being. So, dear children, after reading this entire text, we have come to a conclusion that fathers are not always wrong. Parents are always there to guide us, to help us, but it is their bona fide duty to tell us what is right and what is wrong. They are with us. We need to understand the circumstances under which they are supposed to work. We have to support them. We have to assist them. Okay? So it has been a wonderful chapter written by Catherine Mansfield, and hopefully all of you might have enjoyed that. Go through it entirely. Try to read that. Try to understand that. And if you have any queries, any problems, you can share that in the comment section below. Till then, have a nice time. Goodbye.